where Elon Musk, who is the SpaceX and Tesla CEO, said that he would allow former President Donald Trump to jump back on the social media that he is working to buy and to fully acquire, the $44 billion social media platform Twitter, where the former president, was permanently banned from the social media site as a result of what happened on January the 6th. Now, Mr. Musk has went as far as to say that he thought that the decision to ban Trump on Twitter, on this platform, was quote unquote morally a bad decision. He said that. And he spoke to the co-founder of Twitter, Mr. Jack Dorsey, and the CEO, and they both agreed that Twitter should not support permanent bans on accounts unless it involves bots or spam or scams. Yeah. And now again, former President Donald Trump was banned from Twitter. It was that decision. And the Twitter cited the risk of further incitement of violence due to what happened on January the 6th. I want to bring in our culture crew on Tuesdays. We are joined by Lise Winnie, host of Millennials Anonymous podcast that can be heard on all podcast streaming platforms. And we are also joined by Iman Heath, who is an activist entrepreneur as well. Iman, Lise, always good to talk to you on Tuesdays. How are you ladies this afternoon?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Iman, good to see you again.
Right. I'm better. See my
eyes. So this was the big breaking story that's happened that everybody is talking about around the country. And I think, Lisa, I'm going to start with you. I think people had an inkling that this would be Elon Musk's stand, like this would be his decision. But we were all kind of waiting, trying to say, okay, is he really going to allow him on or not? But what do you think that Elon Musk would say? I know he says that it was a morally bad decision. What do you really think is behind this? Is it the fact that President Trump said that he would stay initially just a few weeks ago? He said, look, I'm going to stay. I don't need Twitter. Even if Elon Musk allows me back on, I'm going to stay on my own social media, Truth Social.
Yeah, I think he will. I think for a while at least, Donald Trump is going to stay on Truth Social because it only makes sense. Like, you can't have your biggest following on Twitter. He's not making any money off of that. When it comes to a moral stance, now, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are upset about this. And Elon Musk, if he is, I don't know, is the deal final? Because technically he still had to get some extra financing. So I don't know if the deal is final. But if it is final and he is the owner of, of Twitter, it's a private company. He has the right to do that. If he wants to allow Donald Trump back on there, he did say that if there are certain tweets and posts that shouldn't be seen, they should be muted or deleted, but not necessarily ban the person altogether. He was concerned that you're alienating a bunch of people. Elon Musk is about money. Have you seen what he has done with cryptocurrency? Anything that he says is like, oh, go buy this tree coin, and then people go out and buy it, and then he pulls all his money out. Like, he's about the money. And if you're alienating the middle half of the country, you can't sell ads to them. So I think a lot of this has to do with he's a businessman.
So it's all about the dollars and cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing about it, Iman. Like, stop trying to cloak it into something bigger and much more divine, right? Like, just say, hey, look, yeah, we need him back on. He makes good money for us. I mean, I don't know. I know he probably would never say that. I know business people don't say that. They always like, oh no, it's a morally. I mean, because we're not looking to Elon Musk for moral leadership and guidance and direction.
Not at all. But I just want him to think of the possible backlash that can come behind it. If he's showing support of Trump, you have our anti-Trumpets and Trumpettes that will have the issue with that. It could cause a lot of controversy. He could lose money if people withdraw from being active on Twitter. But at the same time, Team Trump and Trumpettes will hop back on Twitter. So it's like a balance you have to do. But I definitely agree with Lisa. It's all about the bag. It's all about the money. Donald Trump is the publicity attention person you need when it comes to bringing his followers on. So I think it's a good business move, but it's going to be some backlash to it.
All right, so here's the situation now. The way this whole process has been going is that Elon Musk put his bid in. He brought, he was able to raise the money. Twitter's board approved the $44 billion deal. Mm-hmm. Now it goes to a shareholder vote, right? And so that vote hasn't been determined as of yet, but most likely, Iman and Lise, it's going to be approved. Because he got the money for it, right? He's got the commitments. He's been getting like letters of commitments, these pledges, sort of, essentially from all of these banks and other places and other investors. So he's done that. But the thing I think is very interesting is, I think it's more, and I tend to think that yes, this is a business move, because even though Truth Social has not been doing very well, keeping one of the biggest loudmouths on social media off of your platform onto another platform, you want to intercept that, right? Like, so I think he knows that Donald Trump says, "Oh, I'm going to stick to my platform," and so Elon Musk is like, "Well, why stick it to your platform, buddy? We can all talk and chat and tweet together. Come on, buddy."
And I'm interested. I don't know if we got Twitter's numbers yet. Their earnings, because I think he's looking at this from a business perspective as well. Now, as Truth Social is not where it's at. Like, that's just what it is.
That's the truth about Truth Social.
That's the truth about it. But when you look at how fast Twitter accepted his bid, have you ever seen a company that's doing amazing? Go try to say, Coca-Cola, I'm going to give you $20 for the whole company if you sell it to me. And they go, okay, don't you go, wait a minute. Like, it wasn't nobody else. Like, I think he's thinking about that now. So in order for you to make money off of social media, you need to have ads. You have to have people. We are the product. When something is free, you're the product. And so he needs more people on the platform. And Donald Trump does bring people on the platform. And for all the people out there saying this is against the First Amendment rights, it's a private company. That the First Amendment protects you against the government. So the government can't censure you, but this is a private company. So they do have the right to block people or censor people if they choose to do so. Now, I don't know if we will see a reversal that Trump will say, I'll come back to Twitter, because
we will.
I don't know. He says he won't, but this will be interesting. And I think that's what Elon Musk is doing. I think he's just trying to drum up attention for Twitter. He bought, like I said, I don't know what the numbers look like yet, but he brought something that they didn't give any pushback. Where did they do that at? Like, have you ever seen a big company where they just say, oh, you want to pay what for real? No, okay, yeah.
You mean you talking about the pushback from who? The company?
Twitter. Like, Twitter just went, okay. Like,
well, they had initial pushback. Remember now, when he said he wanted to buy the company, they tried to create a situation where it'd be very hard for him to do so. Like, they put a cap, I think, on the number of the amount of stocks that he.
They didn't want him to have control over it.
They didn't want him to have control of it.
It wasn't the money, though. That's the part where I was like, really?
Okay.
Like, there was no one else trying to bid for Twitter. So usually when you have companies like this,
please, nobody pulling out $44 billion out the bank.
He didn't even have $44 billion. Didn't he have like $3 billion in liquid assets? The rest of
he had $3 billion. He got. I
mean, the band is going to space.
He put 8 to 9 billion. If I'm not mistaken, he took out 8 to 9 billion from his stocks with Tesla. And he put in and pretty much, put it up on Twitter as well.
Risky.
So he's putting his own money into the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Then he's gone to investors, some of your major top banks, and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool, we'll do it." So it's all about that, but it's still And it may not be a sweetheart deal. I mean, we've been having this conversation about whether Elon Musk is really, going to make Twitter profitable, because that's the big thing, like, about social media. Yeah, it could be all of the other stuff, but it has to be profitable in order for it to win. And
Right.
what Jack Dorsey and his team has been able to do is make it profitable. Now, once they got into the space of trying to moderate the content and trying to deal with bad actors like Donald Trump and other folks who use the platform to create violence or to incite violence, then it's kind of like uncharted territory. You never had that. And I think that's what we have to keep in mind.
He's going to have to balance between freedom of speech and not harping on that portion so much as to have some type of boundaries or control, because to have a free Twitter, or be able to tweet whatever, however, and say whatever, however, it still needs to have some type of boundaries, because again, that can incite a community of violence, that can incite more rage and more divide that we already have. Like, to think of the things I know on Facebook, you can't even type the word gay. You will go to Facebook jail typing the word. So it's certain boundaries I think that should be had. No one should be banned, but he has to be careful not to take the freedom of speech thing and blow it up too far. Because people, y'all know how people go. It'll go completely left. Racial slurs, ignorance toward the LGBT community. It'll open a can of worms of a lot of things that we really don't need at this time. We're divided enough.
Well, see, that's the thing. Again, if you're using your social media platform as a space to as a moral compass, like that is totally to me, that's not even what people brings people to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of that. Nobody's looking for these spaces to be a moral compass. They just want to
at
talk.
all. It's drama. Everybody wants
and post
drama.
pictures. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
when Boosie said what he said on Instagram, he blew up.
Yeah.
So it's people go to the drama, and that's another reason why Elon Musk is he wants to bring on Donald Trump, because people run to the drama. It entertains us. It's entertainment.
Yeah, I think he wants popularity in the space of social media. It is very hard. Every day something else is popping up, whether you have TikTok, something else, and this one and that one. So you have to constantly keep people's attention. If I'm being honest, Twitter's the one place where I just I can't, the retweeting of the tweet, it's just like algebra to me. Like, I hate Twitter. But I mean, it's where you need to be. Like, if you really want to reach out to a company or something, this is where all the cool kids hang out. They hang out on Twitter. So you want to have the most popular.
It depends. I don't know, Lise, because I understand why you would say that, but I don't know, because I know there are a number of, Generation Xers, millennials that are like, Twitter's for old people. Twitter's for politicians, entertainers, and corporate America. It's not.
Are we the old people?
It's not for.
We all.
It's not for
I'm
the,
old. You're not old.
Regular man or woman.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think if you want to be seen by a company, like if you want them to you want to get their attention, you need to be on Twitter, not on Instagram, not on Facebook. You want to be on Twitter. So that's what I mean by the cool kids, even though I don't really believe in this hierarchy of society that we've created. But that's what I'm talking about. It should be interesting, like I said, to see how this plays out in the long run as far as freedom of speech, because again, this is a private company. This is not a government run platform. If that was the case, then we could start having those conversations. That's like if you go to a baby shower and they say, don't say baby, you can't say, you're infringing upon my rights. Like, you can't do that, because this is a private, little party. I do think he's on to something though, as far as what is being banned, because sometimes people get banned on these social media platforms because the platform itself doesn't necessarily like it, or you don't like it. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to speak, because they're not really organizing in these spaces like they are, on this black web. Like, that's where these people, 4chan and all those places, that's where they're starting to organize. And I don't want to push these people off where you can't see them. If you shut your door and you closed off to the public, we can't see what you're doing. So that's my concern as well, because at least these platforms are somewhat monitored. You can somewhat track it. So if somebody puts something on there, at least you know who said it. Now we do need to get rid of the bots, but
all right. I'm gonna get to that point, Lise.
okay.
I'm gonna let you have that point. But I have a big but. Not like, of course not like, but I have a big but.
Okay. Do you big? You got a
Yes,
big butt?
I
You
do.
cannot
Yeah,
lie.
what's going on?
You got a
What's
big
going
butt.
on?
You cannot
Yes,
lie.
because look, look. I mean, you got this stuff. Like, I don't know what's on it. I don't know what's on your timeline, or like you say, you detest Twitter. When I'm on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? I'm coming across all types of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
All types of people, different philosophies, and I don't want to see that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't want to see racist hate speech, and I don't want to see that. Like, that's not good. Look, there was a New York Times piece, and I think we're going to talk about this on the show,
Okay.
at some later point. But they just, New York Times, they just put out this article saying the impact of social media on adolescents and how they view the world. And I'm like, and how basically social media has negatively affected young people starting from the age of 10 all the way up to 18. I think the same thing can be said for adults as well, for us, that once we start to consume, and as much as we like to truly believe that we are all quote unquote strong and that we can all make, rational decisions and we can all have clear headed and judge, and, we're not judgy and all of that. Like, there is something that once somebody says something, or once you read something that is disparaging, racist, or very offensive, it does mess with you. Like, we got to be real about it. Like, it gets to your psyche about this human being, who this human being would, like the person, like the community that this human being is coming from, the world that we're all living in. It messes with you. Like, when I hear racist speech, it's like, damn, this person really think like this.
Yeah, but I think on Twitter he says with the bullying, he's going to get rid of bullying. You can't do that.
Then how you wait a minute?
Yeah, how can you control?
How you doing that and then you allow Donald Trump back?
I see, because this is what he said. He was going to try to pipe down on the bullying on the site by muting and deleting those posts. So even though Donald Trump may be on there, we might not see anything he posts anyway, because maybe they'll all get deleted. We don't know. But they're saying that that's what they're going to be doing. So it's not that they're going to ban people, because you can't completely ban a person. He was saying that taking away those tweets. Now that to me seems impossible, but that's what he's saying.
Yeah, because the question is who controls what gets deleted or what gets muted, or what are the guidelines to having your tweet deleted or muted? Like, it's too gray. This is way too gray.
It's too gray, and it's too risky. Like, the country is not at a good place right now. Like, okay, for example, today is Tuesday. Right now in Nebraska and Wisconsin, they're having their primaries. Both primaries, Donald Trump endorsed candidates for those respective offices in those two states, right? If Donald Trump's candidates win, then it adds to the level of influence that he has on the GOP. We know that. He's allowed back on social media. It opens the door for even more stuff. And that's the part about it. I want to share this is what Elon Musk had to say about this whole idea of democracy. And this is why this is like I don't know whether this is just BS or this is something. But Keenan, let's post this quote, what he said about democracy and free speech. He said this, folks, and I think this is really interesting. He said free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy. Keenan, we could post that. He said free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. I don't agree.
I completely, honestly, I
don't agree
with that freedom of speech, because when you start censoring people, you too can be I think that's the part that people are not realizing. If you start to censor people, right, you too get wrapped up in the censorship. I know a couple of people that saying I'm blocked on Facebook and I'm blocked on Instagram, and because I just said this, like, Iman just said, if you type in a word, they will automatically block you. So you too get banned. So then it becomes, who does get a chance to speak? And so we do need to hear, because like you said, you don't want to see it on your timeline. The benefit is you can kind of unfollow people so that those things don't come up on your timeline. But also, it doesn't mean that the people aren't saying this. I would rather know this is who you are than to be in a job interview or sitting in there with you and not know.
But see, is that like with Donald Trump, the way we already know who Donald Trump is. Mm-hmm. After 4 years of having him in office, dude, I know you well. I know you well. Matter of fact, I know you so much that I know you're gonna be like, you told us a couple of weeks ago you're not coming back on. You lying. You coming right back on this piece. You know you are. Stop playing. You're not getting the same type of response. You're not getting the same level of follows and followers that you're getting on your own social media platform. Stop lying. You lying. So we know people. You know what I mean? But again, it's like I'm not trying to encourage people to be in their own an echo chamber. I'm not encouraging that. But there has to be a line drawn somewhere. This dude is getting rewarded. Here he is, a former president, is getting rewarded to be on one of the biggest platforms of any technology, right? After he tried to overturn the government. Now, look, I'm not all USA government type of guy, but that seems like that's a very, very serious offense for a former president. And then you get kicked off, come back on.
But Twitter is not the government. This is not twitter.gov. This is twitter.com, which means that this is owned by private institutions, which means that they have the right to say, hey, he can come on here. He can speak on here, because it is not run by the government. And I think a lot of people are not seeing that. Like with the freedom of speech, it is a private corporation. Like when people get mad at TikTok, I was like, it's a Chinese-based like there's but so much you can do. When you go on these companies, you sign up for their policies and procedures. None of us read, because none of us read them, that they have the right to, one, your information is theirs, okay, because they're going to sell it because it's free. So they got to sell something. Twitter is not as big on ads, so you know that they have to be giving information somewhere. You know what I mean? So all of this matters when you're talking about who gets to speak and who doesn't, because these are private corporations. You don't want somebody coming down and saying, hey, on the Black Star Network, you can't say this, because this is owned by a private corporation. That's kind of, it's a double-edged sword.
Look, let me just break it down to you. Facebook, 3 billion monthly active users. Instagram, 1 billion active users. YouTube, 2.3 billion active users. Twitter, which is is number 14 on the list, underneath of Pinterest, Tumblr, and Reddit. But Twitter comes in with 225 million users. And if you allow Donald Trump, he's probably going to add a few million. I get it on a business side, but there has not been any consequence or any consequences against this guy. And I'm all cool with that. I'm cool with no consequences against Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Don't bring consequences on this side to us, though. Right. Don't go hard on people, don't go hard on anybody else if you don't go hard on Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you allow Donald Trump on, you got to allow Minister Farrakhan on. You got to allow other people who you deem to be controversial, who you deem to be crossing the line. You got to allow them back on. If that's the way it is, if this is the digital town square where everything is of great importance is being debated, you got to allow everybody back on.
I don't know if they're all banned on Facebook or if they're banned on Twitter, but I think his goal is to get everybody back. Like on Facebook. I know Alex Jones of InfoWars is banned. I'm pretty sure if he's not on Twitter, he probably will be allowed back on Twitter with all of the things that he's put out there, the fake information that just he goes with. So I'm pretty sure that's what will happen. But again, we as Americans, we as the consumer have to have some level of discretion of what we know is true. We have to be able to discern between this is true, this is false, this is bad. And we can't allow the private corporations and companies to be the one that tell us who can speak and who cannot.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?